Welcome to the Full-Time Drones Podcast, the show where we take a deep dive into the world of unmanned aerial vehicles and explore their many applications. We'll be speaking with experts and innovators in the field to discuss topics such as drone regulations, emerging technologies, and exciting new applications for UAVs. We will focus our discussions on the current and future opportunities for full-time work in the space. We'll also be featuring stories from drone pilots and operators around the world, sharing their experiences and perspectives on this rapidly evolving industry. So sit back, strap on your headset, and get ready to take flight with us on the Full-Time Drones Podcast. Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the Full-Time Drones Podcast. We're here in Season 1, Episode 1. We've got a lot of really great content coming your way this season. I'm glad you're here with us. Make sure you stick around, whatever platform you listen to your podcasts on, or if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our channel. We've got a lot of great guests this season. We're going to have 20 episodes and interviewing full-time drone pilots, interviewing manufacturers of drones, and also interviewing companies who hire either drone service providers or individual pilots. So a lot of really cool stuff coming your way this season. So let's dive into episode 1. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kyle New. I've been in the industry since not long after the Part 107 came out. My background was in production, and I was doing a lot of audio production and video production. So obviously when drones came out, I thought, wow, this is a cool tool to add to what I'm doing. And so I got a drone. My very first drone was the GoPro Karma. They didn't last very long, but I never had issues with mine, so I had a lot of fun with it. It came with the GoPro Hero 5 and also came with a detached gimbal. So it's a multi-purpose tool for me. And as I started using drones, it wasn't long before Hurricane Irma came through Florida. And at the time, they were looking for drone pilots who could go do disaster response. So that was my first introduction into commercial drone work, doing disaster response and working with utility companies. Nobody really knew what to expect. We were out there flying, taking photos, taking videos, turning it over to the command center, and nobody really knew what to do with the data. So the very first hurricane season, it didn't serve a great purpose. It did identify a couple of things, for access and flooding, but I think it was an introduction to the industry and really helped us fine tune for the next hurricane season, which is where Hurricane Michael came through and just destroyed the entire Panhandle all the way up into Georgia. So in between the two hurricanes, I formed my first drone company and partnered up with a journeyman lineman. And we decided to specialize in utility inspections. So we traveled around the state doing a lot of R&D and demo work for municipalities, for co-ops, and showing them the capabilities of drones. And it was still very, very early on. So, some people thought it was cool technology, but didn't know what to do with the data. Some people said, hey, this just isn't going to work. And so, we continued to pitch our services, refining our systems, developing really good reports, and even entertaining the idea of developing some AI software that could identify some of these anomalies rather than, guys having to sit at a computer looking through thousands of photos a day. So not long after we started doing all that, Hurricane Michael comes through and just destroys Florida. So we start doing damage inspection work in Georgia because Florida Panhandle was so bad that you just couldn't really access it. So we started doing work in Georgia, work our way down to Florida, and by the time we got to Florida, we were working with a local private utility and had developed a really good system. We were flying, we were taking images, we were taking video, and we were also documenting everything and identifying inventory. So we would turn these reports in, and the command center was they were in awe, like, wow, we know exactly what to load these trucks up with to go replace poles. So my first aha moment was after day 3, we turned everything in and we're reviewing the data. And one of the directors said, hey, based on all this information, if we were to scale this to our entire system, then we have overordered somewhere around 2,000 poles. and at $1,200 a pole or whatever it was, he said, we're going to have hundreds of thousands of dollars in inventory just sitting in our yard, and these poles will probably rot before we ever have to put them in the ground. You guys just saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars. And for me, I'm like, I was just flying a drone, taking photos and organizing everything, but it was my introduction to how powerful the drone industry was going to be. So a few short months later, we had some of the natural disasters out in California, and started flying on the PG&E project when it first started, and flew on that for the entire first year. As soon as that project ended, started heading home, worked on one project on the way home in Colorado. And the moment I pulled into my driveway, got a call that a similar project was starting up in San Diego. So headed back out west and set up in San Diego. And I've been here ever since. It's been 4+ years, and, continue to work on that project to this day. And it's been incredible to see where we started in 2018, 2019 to where we are today in 2023, and all of the changes that have taken place for the better. The systems are so refined that it's incredible. It's so seamless now. So in between, I've done a lot of work in telecom. There's down months with utilities or a couple of months down. So I've traveled the country doing telecom inspections, both for the Dish Network project and done a lot of work for Talon. So learning different profiles and different requirements for different vendors, I think kind of helped us build out a really good system and a really good training system for some of the pilots that work for us. We still have a contract and do nationwide telecom work. And, in between learning all that, one of my good friends is a licensed surveyor in the state of Florida. So spent a couple of years working with him early on, doing photogrammetry, and as LiDAR became more and more affordable, continuing to do work with him to try to develop a system and a deliverable that was meaningful to him and saved him time and saved him money. So really got to dial in and refine the photogrammetry and the LiDAR. And for me, it was a very cool transition because, now LiDAR is not just used in land surveying. It's used in utilities for construction and true-ups. It's used for a number of different applications. We use it now doing our inspection work for utility companies with vegetation management and pole construction true-ups and updating mapping and inventory systems. So, kind of diversifying my portfolio as I like to try to put it. I didn't want to just be good at one thing and, hit a slow season. So as I started learning more and more, it just became, a passion or an obsession, whatever you want to call it. And so I started getting really good at it, and then started training people and teaching other people how to do it. And one of the things that I brought from my video production background was I can teach you one-on-one, face-to-face, but if I've got somebody who needs to do a project on the East Coast, they either have to fly to me or I have to fly to them, or we have to try to troubleshoot over the phone, and it's very difficult. So we started putting together some training platforms for our in-house pilots, whether they be W-2s or contractors. And it really evolved into this is a weakness in the industry. There are a lot of pilots up and coming that don't have access to the proper training. And I think part of it's a little bit of gatekeeping by the more experienced guys in the industry, I guess maybe for fear of creating competition. And then some of it is just, some of the guys that have been doing it forever are just so busy that, they work and they earn an income and don't have time to train. And so that's kind of where the idea for this online community came from, was how do we bring up the next wave of drone pilots and to continue to educate? Because for me, I'm not looking at this from the perspective of I might be training competition, or I might be training a pilot who will do this work for less than I will. I look at it as there are so many utility companies across the country that aren't using drones right now that need to be using drones. And Maybe at some point they tried and failed because they had an inexperienced pilot who, didn't store faith in them. So we started developing these training programs. And my hope with this is, instead of having 200 of the best utility inspection pilots in the country, mostly working on the West Coast, now we train and develop and have 1,000 or 1,500 qualified, really good utility inspection pilots that now can start getting jobs across the country, with the Florida Power and Lights and the Duke Energies and Southern Company and some of these big utilities. The central United States took a big hit a couple of years ago. So being able to qualify more people because they're educated and they can take knowledge and start to apply it to gain experience was kind of the driving force behind developing all of this. So, from a drone service provider standpoint, full-time drones, we work mostly in the utility and the telecom industry. We also do a little bit with solar, and we do a little bit with land surveying and LiDAR. But they're such specialized niches that, most of our guys stay relatively busy just doing utility and telecom inspections. So, our plan is to continue to grow, to continue to work with the companies that we are working with and expand our service opportunity with them and help them grow. And then, we'll also start to look into other avenues as we grow and bring on more pilots and uncover more qualified pilots and say, hey, we now have 10 or 15 guys that I trust that can go do this type of work nationwide. We're going to start going after some of these contracts as well. So that's kind of what we do and, why we started and got into the industry. The first thing that we've launched is a Facebook community. It's Full-Time Drones. If you're listening to this and you're on Facebook, send an invite to join the community. We're working on our online platform, which will be it'll be a web-based and also be a mobile application. But in the meantime, all the information we're putting out and the kind of the community feel that we're building is through the Facebook group. So as we continue to develop out the Full-Time Drones community, some of the things that we're focused on, we've got a full e-learning platform, and we've got 3 levels to it. There's a basic level, and all of that is always free. And there is introduction to performing inspections in the utility industry and telecom and mapping and photogrammetry and solar inspections and real estate and photography and cinematography. So, we wanted to be able to introduce everybody to all of these industries because, right now you go pay for a course and you pay $750 or $1,000 and maybe you look at it and say, I'm not really into this. I wish I wouldn't have spent the money. So all of our basic content is always free. You can sign up and you have access to all these courses. You have access to all the other content we're putting out, whether it be, introductions to software companies and how to use certain platforms, all the frequently asked questions like, hey, I can't get unlocked. I hate DJI. I'm going to go get an Autel. And well, there's actually a really easy process to learning how to unlock DJI's system. Here it is. So all of that content, always free. And then our next level is premium. And so that's going to be a paid subscription-based platform. And within that subscription, you get access to the premium level of teaching of all of the industries. And, we start adding industries like LiDAR and offshore inspections, along with, a premium version of real estate and photography and utility inspections. So it also gives you access to some of our inventory and our rental portal. We have a warehouse full of rental equipment from, the Phantom 4 Pros and Mavic 2 Pros up to the Mavic 3 series with the Enterprise and Thermal and Multispectral, and then up to the M300 with the H20 or H20T, the P1, and even some LiDAR sensors. So it gives you access to all of that stuff. And then it also gives you access. We're DJI dealers, so it gives you access to our online purchasing platform. Gives you kind of early access to, some of the deals we'll have going on. and then also, introductions to the new equipment that's coming out. So after premium, we have the VIP, which is our highest level, and it really encompasses everything. So on top of having the highest level of training, you will also have monthly live Q&A sessions. We'll have additional courses such as drone business development. We will be doing coaching calls. And again, you'll have early access to all the newest gear. It also features private chats within our FTD app that gives you access to industry experts. So no more getting stuck on site and thinking, well, I've lost a day or maybe even lost this job. We have a built-in video chat feature where if, communicating back and forth via text, you're just not getting it, then you can live video chat us and either myself or one of the other experts can help you, walk you through troubleshoot while you're on site. And the goal for that is so that you don't ever get stuck on site. Between training material that we have and having somebody available to help you, whether it be an unlock or you can't fly through, drone deploy because it's locking you out at some point for this, that, or the other, we're there to help you try to troubleshoot that. So we've already talked about us being dealers for DJI. We are authorized dealers, and it's mostly deal with their enterprise level. And then also have the entire rental warehouse. So that will be available to the public. It's not exclusive to community members. The pricing for the public will be different than the community members. So as a community member on a paid subscription plan, you will get discounts to rental gear. So if you want to try it out, or if you sell a job and see if it's something you want to do, you've got access to the training to learn how to do it. You've got access to experts who can help you step by step, and you have access to the equipment without having to go out and spend $5,000 or $10,000 or $50,000 if you're looking at a LiDAR setup. So another part of the online community will be, it will be a kind of a social media / portfolio network. You'll have the ability to create a profile, post your work, connect with other pilots within the network, and keep up with the latest news. One of the cool features, you'll be able to share stories and kind of similar to what you can do on Facebook or Instagram now, kind of real type stuff. And one feature we're adding later this year is we have businesses that we're currently working with that hire drone pilots, whether it be for W-2 work or for contract work. And so partnering up with these companies, we're letting them go through and evaluate our coursework so that they feel comfortable saying, hey, anybody who's gone through and taken these courses, we feel like has a very good understanding of what we want and what we're representing as a company. And so those companies will be able to come in, and if you're a VIP member who's taken some of these courses, you'll have badges that let them know, hey, this person has taken the VIP telecom course and passed. So they'll be able to come in and say, okay, we've got a telecom contract coming up. We need people in, the Pacific Northwest region. We're going to filter that out and go in and say, okay, these 6 people have all the prerequisites that we want. Now they can reach out to you directly and say, we're looking at bringing on some W-2 employees, or we're looking at some contractors for a 3-month contract doing some telecom work. And so our goal by the end of the year when we add this feature in is to have 15 or 20 companies signed up and to continue to add to that list. I want when you come in and sign up as a VIP member to feel like each and every course is worth more than you paid for just the 1-year subscription. And the features like the live Q&A sessions and the real-time support is worth more than you paid. And access to some of these companies and companies having access to you is worth more than I want you to feel like at the end of this, like, why are they not charging more? And, for us, our goal is not to get rich off of this. We want to pay to run the platform and the people who are in the background running it and the teachers and the people who are going to be on live support with you. But ultimately, we want to create the next wave of drone pilots and give them access to all the tools that don't currently exist. So, I'm personally super excited, having been in the industry for 6 or 7 years and, watching the evolution from 2017 to 2023 and just seeing how fast everything's evolving. I'm really excited about the future. I think the next 2 to 3 years are going to be the big boom. I think we've seen some pretty big boom so far, but I think 2024 and 2025, you'll start to see more utility companies using drones as part of their routine inspection and being more proactive than reactive. I think you'll start to see telecom companies more and more outside of Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. Dish Network has joined. You've got Spectrum, and you've got some other players starting to come into the 5G space, because that's where we're headed, is having live online access to everything, and cable's dying, and streaming is the way to go now. So you're going to start to see more and more competition, and I think they will continue to use drones because it's the most cost efficient and the best quality that they can get, and it also provides a much safer work environment. So hopefully, as we go through the end of 2023 and get into 2024 and 2025, if you've been looking to get into the drone industry but just don't know where to come in, and think, oh man, there's too much competition, the markets are too saturated, I don't know enough about this stuff and nobody will give me a shot, or I just don't have time to dedicate a full-time resource to it right now. You have access now. You have access to training. You have access to an entire network of people. And one of the things our network is going to be built and founded on is having positive energy and uplifting pilots coming in. I know if you've been on some of the forums on Facebook and Reddit and some of the other places, that it's horrible the way that some of the more experienced pilots treat beginners who come in and ask a question that 5 years ago we were all asking and wondering the same thing. Now, yes, we had to go figure it out for ourselves because there was nobody to answer it, but it doesn't take a lot of time or effort to be kind and give the answer, and maybe even give some explanation as to why that's the answer versus just saying, here you go. So that is what we will pride ourselves on. It will be very closely monitored to make sure that you coming in as a newer or inexperienced pilot, you don't ever feel like you're kind of being shunned away by some of the more experienced pilots. This is a platform for everybody, and there will be pilots of all different levels and capabilities on here. And I think that the more experienced guys are on board with helping evolve the next wave of drone pilots. And so that part I'm really excited about. I hope you guys are excited about. I've looked around and I don't see much out there where there's industry specific training. I see a lot of courses on, mapping and real estate and, photography. And it's a lot of, here's how to do it. But, for us, we're not just explaining how to do it, with some of the stuff like LiDAR. We're explaining the science behind it, if you do want to know it. And then we're also doing a lot of in-field training. When you get done taking the LiDAR course, you will be able to go out and take some of these reference videos and, do a data capture with LiDAR, with the base station, with setting ground control points, and with capturing data, be able to translate the raw data into a point cloud LAS file, and then be able to import it into your software of choice and do what you need to with it, whether it be creating contour files for a surveyor or, extracting it and putting it into something like PLS CAD so that you can, do engineering drawings or send it over to an engineering firm to do drawings for the utility industry, or you're doing as-built work or BIM work. It really, the opportunities are endless. And so when you get done taking these courses, you will have that ability. You will also have the network of people to continue to help you evolve to that point. So that's where we're at as a company. And for the community app that we are getting ready to launch, we don't have a launch date set yet. One of the last things we're working on right now is making sure that our speed is where it needs to be. Throughout the entire functionality of the app, we don't want you to get in there and wait 10 seconds for something to load or wait 30 seconds for a video to load. We are focused on, from day one when we launched, that this thing is fully ready to go and we don't have any setbacks or any issues. We are getting ready to start beta testing. We've got a pretty long list of people who want to be a part of the beta testing. If you do as well, and you catch this podcast episode before the full version is ready, you can comment on this video, or you can go to our Full-Time Drones community page on Facebook, or look us up on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram, and just say, hey, I'm interested. Here's my email for my account. Here's my name, and I'm interested in being a beta tester. And just give me a little bit of a background of your experience. So, what you've done up until this point, what you're hoping to get out of this, and and then we'll give you access. The beta testing phase is, everything's going to be free. We won't have the VIP courses on there, but we will have some of the premium courses. We want to see how they perform as well. So let us know. Like I said, you can check us out on any of the social media platforms. We're on Instagram at fulltime_drones. We're on LinkedIn. You can look us up, Full-Time Drones. Facebook. We have the business page, and we also have the community page. So if you're not a member yet, go to Facebook, ask to join, and go ahead and come on in and get a feel for how the community is going to be. And then as we launch, we'll transition. We'll still run the Facebook group for people who prefer Facebook over a dedicated platform. But for those who don't like to be on social media, there will be a platform just for this. You don't have to have a Facebook or an Instagram or LinkedIn or any account like that. So thanks for tuning in today, guys. Really, really excited about the future of the drone industry and of our community platform that we're getting ready to launch. I think it's going to be, a huge success in bringing along the next wave of drone pilots. And hopefully that tradition continues year after year. So make sure you guys like and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts, or if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And we will see you guys next time.